Good day everyone, my name is Commander N again and I am here for more Darkest Hour. And today we are going to be playing the mod, Kaiserreich. Well then, let's get to it. So, the Kaiserreich mod is an alternate history mod for Hearts of Iron, set in a what if Germany had won World War I. There's all sorts of different possible outcomes from this that the mod creators have come up with. And also, I'd like to preface this that over the course of these next couple of videos, some of the stuff that I haven't been able to get into in the tutorial, I will be going into in this game. The first example of this is in Hearts of Iron. You could play as any nation in the world that you want, but as you can see, there's only like about a dozen or so here. So what you do, hover over one of the flags, right click, and boom, you can now select every nation. Like we can be Mongolia because yeah. Although in reality Mongolia actually has some interesting stuff going on over the course of this game. But I have decided, who should I be? Ah, I got it. I'm gonna be Chinese state of Yunnan here. Okay, sorry about that again. Usual game recorder stopping in the middle of loading. Why it does that? Who knows. Anyway, so here we are in the world of Kaiserreich. Now this 1936 world is incredibly different from ours, as it can be held. And as we can see over here, boom, dominant Germany. They've won the war, yay! And everything kind of went south for the nations of the Entente. Basically what happened is that France and Britain especially have had revolutions where they become this syndicalist socialist system where the trade unions are in power and there's all sorts of stuff like that. And Italy has basically been cut in half, with the southern half being a part of their socialist forces and the northern half who's ruled by the Pope. Austria, despite initial appearances, has not fallen apart. They still control Hungary as a puppet, and they still control Galicia here, and Bohemia, and Croatia, Bosnia, and Serbia's basically been cut down quite a bit after the war. So Austria still controls their empire. The only difference this time is that the other nationalities within the empire have greater autonomy granted to them than before. And so basically Britain and France have lost their empires greatly. And since the homelands have gone into revolution, that has led both governments, the original governments, to flee, so to speak, with the French government fleeing to what is now National France, led by basically their former rulers there, and the royal family has now fled to Canada. So we got George V there still kicking around, grimacing at the ocean for the revolution. And Russia likewise has also fallen apart pretty good. They were defeated and had to release all of these areas. And also another thing is that Russia is not the Soviet Union, but instead still the democratic government that they were around the time of the revolution kicking off, from the November Revolution, I believe, or some. Got it mixed up a little bit there, or something. Anyway, so they did have the actual civil war with the whites and the reds. However, what happened this timeline was that In our timeline, the Entente had actually intervened. Some of the nations did, like the US and the UK, but they just kind of failed and went home. Germany, on the other hand, went in full force and intervened in the Civil War and basically crushed the Reds. So Russia has the benefit of not being under Bolshevik control, yet at the same time their nation is still broken up. We have basically big old Ukraine over here, and Donkoban Union, who are Cossacks, and Georgia and Armenia, and even Mongolia has taken quite a bit of territory here. And also we have Transmir here, where Admiral Kolchak, one of the famous Russian white admirals, now controls this piece of land and is puppeted to the Japanese Empire. So then also the results of this whole timeline have led to a complete breakup of British India. There's basically the Bharatiya Commune, who are the Indian socialists, I guess. The Princely Federation, who I guess are a bit more the other side of that, more like the kings or rulers or whatever you call them. And over here we have Delhi, who their government is the last vestiges of British rule in India, and they are also still part of the Entente as well. And as for the other Central Powers who have won, Bulgaria still controls a lot of land, and the Ottomans control vast amounts of territory and power as well, but however, they're now in a state of, instead of being the sick man of Europe, they're now the terminally ill man of Europe. And basically Germany took a lot of colonies and made it Middle Africa. Australia and New Zealand have combined into this Australasian Confederation place for some reason. And in the Far East here, Germany have taken Indochina from the French, and also parts of the East Indies as well, and Papua New Guinea, the Solomons, and so on. And however, so that's pretty much Europe and Asia and Africa as a whole. Basically bigger Egypt, massive Ethiopia, who I guess Germany practically gave them all of Italian Somalia and the French and British upper areas here, and then Germany just kept these two places to themselves. And over here not much has changed in North America, the United States. Well, there is a difference here, as you can see. It's not FDR who's president this time. I guess there's some interesting points about the United States that you'll see soon enough. And here we have Mexico, where the socialists had won their civil war, I guess, and have more power. Central America, which is a Central American efforts to bring syndicalism, and then the counterbalance to that in the United Provinces. So, I'm trying to remember which nations exactly. Is it Ecuador or Nicaragua? Can't remember exactly. Fail. I failed. Pardon me. Everything else in South America is pretty much the same, except for one thing. Brazil took over Paraguay and Uruguay over here and have now become La Plata. So, good for them. However, everything is pretty much the same, though things can become different real soon. And we also have the Caribbean Federation, which is basically a complete union of British and French holdings in the Caribbean, throughout the Caribbean and South America, and throughout Jamaica, so on, the Bahamas, the various Virgin Islands, all these places. So they basically formed one union state. Spain, still a kingdom. Greece, not much to say there. Well, so that's pretty much it. Now, our situation in China here, Japan still controls the Manchurian area, the Fengtian clique, or republic in this case, and they still control these few provinces. Germany still has her holdings here as well, and also these, and also the Germans had intervened in the Chinese warlord era. Essentially was a civil war sort of event for China between 1912 and 1920s. It went on for quite a while, and after the Germans had won the Great War, they came in and intervened in this as well. The final result was that the Germans ended up reinstating the Qing Empire, and also they've had some territory here, which is kind of this is the AOG, which is basically an area of Germany where, or China, that a bunch of German businesses have control over, and this is my nation of Yunnan. Hey, Yunnan! And basically we got, come on. Come on! We got Tibet over here, and we got Ziva, basically, the Western Muslim majority area of China. And then up here we got Mongolia, ruled by Roman Ungern von Sternberg, who was a ethnic Baltic German, member of the Russian army and a Russian White Army general in the war, and now he's come in and taken over Mongolia. And here we have the Xingqingtianguo, or something. Probably butcher that pronunciation, but I try my best. Anyway, these guys are basically a successor state to the old Taiping rebellion that happened back in the mid-19th century, and they're basically a group of religious fanatics who want to take over the Qing Empire and basically build their own empire of China. And then the last state we have here is the legation cities, which are basically just a bunch of cities like Hong Kong and Shanghai. And these guys are basically controlled by the triads and other peoples. Just a bit of stuff going on there. And also about this music, funny note, Kaiserreich does have its own sort of custom soundtrack thing. However, I'm not going to be playing it, probably due to copyright concerns, so enjoy the stock Hearts of Iron music, folks. Now, first thing we're going to do is set up our technology, because what I'm going to be doing for this game is that I'm basically going to be unifying China, and there are a couple of routes I could go with this, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take Yunnan here, take over the AOG, take over Tibet, take over Zibai, take over Shangting, take over Qing, all that, take all that over, kick the Japanese out of here alongside, and maybe even the Germans too. Might take a little while and I might fail horribly, but yeah. And we're gonna form the Republic of China. Now, let's see how we go about doing that. Okay, so we get one tech team. Well, I know my first goal is gonna be to get some more IC so I could get more tech teams. Yeah. Some of the things that, like I probably said earlier, some of the things I couldn't get to in the tutorial videos, I'm going to be covering a bit more over the course of these next few videos. So now we have Oh, so we're way behind. We have to get this tech to let us build industrial capacity. Well, get on that, Chengdu Industrial Department. Start the research. Alright, so all we can get at this point is some pretty basic stuff. Some infantry units that are up to basically 1918 standards. We could build troop ships, but I don't see what would be the point. I mean, it's not like we could sail along the rivers here. So now we're gonna. So it's going to be necessary for our objective to take all of China and restore the Republic. We're going to need some forces because the Germans, Puyi, Zhang, Ma, the Dalai Lama, all these guys are not going to be happy with us trying to take back our land. They don't want it, but we're gonna take it. So we're gonna have to invest. Since we can't even build industrial capacity, we're just gonna invest our stuff into into building up an army here. So let's get a few more infantry divisions. And this button here was set to auto upgrade when new technologies for new infantry units are researched and such. The old units are going to be obsolete, so what this will do is that it'll automatically upgrade the serial production for us, so that once I complete this tech, I could get 1921 infantry, and then we'll start producing 1921 infantry after the 1918 infantry is complete. And if you get what I'm saying here, so that should be pretty cool. And oh yeah, it has better gearing bonus, but more time and cost to upgrade and less organization. Organization is very important, so we're going to be pushing more towards standing army with this one. And intelligence, let's get some spine going on here. Alright, and so now without further ado, let us begin the game. We'll set this to fast so that we could get speed going a little bit faster, because this is kind of the lull before everything really starts to kick off. So now we got some events here. Remilitarization. Basically what's happening in this timeline is that for Romania here, because they were part of the Entente, they were defeated like everybody else. So basically what Iron Guard Romania here, who's kind of a fascist sort of thing, although technically fascism doesn't exist because Mussolini's with the socialists and stuff. See, Mosley wants to talk to Mussolini, blah blah. Yeah, so a bunch of stuff's happening. So, and basically these guys just pulled to Germany and remilitarized this area, even though they weren't supposed to. Okay, so Denikin is the dictator of Russia. Totalism is announced to the world, but I didn't even get an event for that, so we don't care. So, some interesting stuff's probably going to happen with Mongolia and Russia here in the very near future, and that could play a role in how my efforts to rebuild China will go. So there are a few events here. Oop, King George is gone. Now the heir Edward the VIII is taken over. The new rat. So this is pretty much it for right now. There's really not a lot going on. So I think I'm probably just gonna pause the recording and come back when we get something substantial, like either on the world stage or even involving our local area. Okay, so we're back, and here we have our first revolt. Kind of missed the event because probably technical difficulties with recording, but basically we got some warlords here, and we're gonna fight it out. Now, another thing about combat that I forgot to mention is surround units in different provinces will also add bonuses and make the battles go a bit faster because you've surrounded the enemy, so there's going to be a bigger bonus applied, and since we basically outnumber them 4-1, yep, there goes the Baoshan warlord. So, Berlin stock crisis. Yep, that's another thing. Stock markets crash, the Berlin market's falling, the effects ripple across the world. Well, good for them. Good for them. Black Monday hit Spain. Oh no! Well, ain't that a kick in the heebie-jeebies? So, George is a new man for Canada. So, and all this is just the build-up, the quiet before the storm. Ooh, Ireland's getting protected by the Entente. State of Portuguese colonies. Yeah, there's basically a whole political storm brewing in the U.S. as we speak. Basically what happened in 33 was that FDR was not elected. He did run for office, but he didn't get elected because basically there are now these two other factions also vying for the seat of the presidency. The America First Party, which is led by Huey Long, who was I think like governor of Louisiana or something like that. He was a politician with Louisiana, so, and he's basically taken over the South here, and then up here in the North are the syndicates, and basically in this mod Jack Reed is in charge of them for some reason, and basically the party, both of those parties have ran in 33 as well, and I guess for some reason Roosevelt ended up losing the vote, and then Hoover ended up became president, and then the modders made up this story that Roosevelt was assassinated. I guess it was something like New York ended up voting Cindy in that election, and because FDR was still governor of New York, I guess some guy, some radical in America First was worried that he would turn Cindy too, and that would even bolster their power, so some crazy guy just went up and shot him. So, no FDR, I guess. Oh, and also no Hitler. Yeah, he was a soldier in the German army in World War I, like in our timeline, and he also went to fight in the Russian Civil War when the German Empire intervened, and then he was, and then he ended up getting killed in a gas attack. Like our timeline, he died in a bunker fighting communist Russians. So, our little battle with our little traitor general is, our warlord is, what? Okay, here we go. The warlords have been put down. Our troops have achieved victory over the rebels at Baoshan. Their army has surrendered with little resistance, and the warlord was publicly hanged. Baoshan is at peace once more. Yes, Yunnan will not tolerate any new cliques. We have enough cliques as it is. Damn clickers. They're pretender clickers, I tell you what. Okay, so now we defeated them, so now everything's back to normal. Ooh, this is like really fast. Let's plan. Event of the century. Congress of the Arab World. Good for you, Egypt. Marshal Arango. Okay. I have a feeling of what Mexico is gonna do in this game, if I'm right. And it will involve the US. Though I bet a few might question why? So, Afghanistan taking a bit of Pakistan here. Yeah, so now we're just kind of waiting up. Oh, whoops, our tech's already done. Yeah, we're just gonna put our Oh, looks like we got a war. We shall not stand for this lack of respect. To arms! Ethnic skirmishes. Oh, Ziba has declared war on Mongolia. Pure kingdom upon the heavens shall remain neutral. Anarcho-syndicalists receive majority in Italy. So Mongolia and Ziba have now gone to war. And whoever wins, well, I guess we'll have to see for our efforts. Whoever wins, we lose. No, not really. We will crush one of them or two of them. Let's just see. So yeah, now Mongolia's going to war, and sorry this is boring, folks, but that's the way this game is sometimes. If you're not in a war, or you don't see the world falling apart into cinders of every nation and their mothers battling each other, you're just kind of sitting around waiting for technologies to complete, for units to finish and be ready to go, for your politics to just kind of wait around. There is quite a bit of waiting. Oh yeah, that's right. Tibet allied with Mongolia because Tibetans are badasses. Don't you dare question it. Alright, I'll be back after a while when something new has happened.